Welcome to Europe up close. Enjoy traveling by train? Then get your buns to Europe, because the world's second smallest continent also happens to be home to some magical railway routes. Not all of Europe is train-friendly, but even those parts that remain committed to buses, we're looking at you, Balkans, have some beautiful journeys on offer. Stunning stretches of rail that weave in and out of valleys with turquoise-blue rivers for guides. Check out these best train rides in Europe. Septemvri To Dobrinishte, Bulgaria. The journey: Septemvri To Dobrinishte, 125 kilometers, 5 hours. Bulgaria's only operating narrow-gauge railway is a lifeline to its remote southwest. So make room for the babas, grandmothers, heading to market. The train travels at a glacial speed. You can walk beside it in parts, but it's a journey to savor, with stops for hiking in Bansko, Velingrad's hot springs, and Blitza's Dancing Bear Sanctuary. Top tip: the train only has a simple cafe on board, so bring a picnic. 13. El Transcant Abrico, Clasico, Spain. The journey: Lione to Santiago de Compostela, 643 kilometers, 4 to 8 days. Never has the pilgrimage to Santiago de Compostela felt so indulgent. El Transcant Abrico's lavish compartments and plentiful excursions make for an easy, enlightening ride. The Clasico itinerary hugs the northern coast, with stop-offs at the Guggenheim Museum in Bilbao, seafood suppers in Santander, and, on longer trips, hiking in the UNESCO Biosphere Reserve of Picos de Europa National Park. Top tip: the rail network actually runs between St. Felice and Ferrol, a few kilometers shy of Lyon and Santiago de Compostela, so the trip is bookended by brief coach journeys. 12. Glacier Express, Switzerland. The journey: Zermatt to St. Moritz, 290 kilometers, 7.5 hours. Don't be fooled by its name. The Glacier Express averages 38 kilometers per hour, but who wants to rush when the scenery is this spectacular? Linking two of Switzerland's best-loved ski resorts, the route is an opus of snow-capped peaks, rugged valleys, 291 bridges, and wild tangles of alpine forest. The view will keep you glued to the train's panoramic windows. Through the traverse of the towering Landwasser Viaduct, pictured right, might have you reaching for a second glass of Valais wine. Top tip: in Zermatt, you can extend your trip by taking Europe's highest cog railway to the summit of Gorgengrot, 3,089 meters. The view of the Matterhorn is worth it. 11. Odontotos, Rack Railway, Greece. The journey: Diakopto to Kalavrita, 22.5 kilometers, 1 hour. Making delightfully slow work of a wild Peloponnese gorge, this heritage railway, built in 1895, is one of southern Greece's final remaining narrow-gauge lines. It starts in the seaside town of Diakopto and weaves up to the mountain town of Kalavrita through hand-carved tunnels and plane tree forests. En route, you'll cross 49 bridges in total, as the Voraikos River roils far below. Top tip: to visit nearby Olympia's ancient temples and stadium, take the small train from Katakolon, yet another narrow-gauge survivor. 10. Rhine Valley Line, Germany. The journey: Cologne to Mainz, 152 kilometers, 2.5 hours. The Rhine Valley Line finds its muse just after Bonn, where it starts to tightly hug the waterline. Sure, you could take the high-speed intercity route and save yourself an hour on your journey, but then you'd miss out on the patchwork of vineyards, Koblenz's hilltop fortress, and the legend of Loreley Rock. Top tip: Interrail passes are valid on this line, and you get a discount on KD Rhine Line boats. 9. Venice Simplon Orient-Express, UK, France, and Italy. The journey: London to Folkestone, Calais to Venice, 1,636 kilometers, 24 hours. While the final descendant of the real Orient-Express met its end in 2009, a U.S. businessman had long since bought up 1920s and 30s carriages, many belonging to the original service, and resurrected its route to Venice. This journey is played out on two heritage trains, the British Pullman on the UK leg and the VSOE between Calais and Venice, and as the mountains and meadows slip by, you can sip martinis in the piano bar, devour lobster in its Etoile du Nord restaurant car, and just dream. Top tip: though the southbound journey is popular, the northbound experience is just as fabulous and doesn't book up so quickly. 8. West Highland Line, Scotland. The journey: Glasgow to Mallaig, 264 kilometers, 5.5 hours. After slipping away from Glasgow, the West Highland Line weaves some of Britain's wildest scenery to lonely moorlands, forest-bound lochs, and crumbling castle ruins. Up here, you're more likely to spot red deer than humans, though the Glenfinnan Viaduct is familiar thanks to its cameo in the Harry Potter films. If traveling southwards, sit on the right-hand side of the train for the best views. Top tip: the Royal Scotsman and Jacobite steam train are rather luxurious. If pricey, alternatives to the €16.80 one-way ScotRail journey. 7. Bernina Express, Switzerland and Italy. The journey: Landcourt to Tirano, 163 kilometers, 5 hours. Starting this summer, you get even more bang for your buck on the Bernina Express, as its transalpine journey has been extended for around 50 kilometers. It now starts or terminates at Landcourt before looping through the Predigo Mountains and over Zeugen Gorge's sheer-sided ravines. Running between May and October, its climax is the 2,253-meter-high Bernina Pass, the gateway to Italy. It's a smooth ride, but one that's big on drama, encompassing dizzying and panoramic views from the Bersaglio Spiral Viaduct along the way. Top tip: for the best views, grab a seat on the rig. 6. Mariazell Railway, Austria. The journey: St. Pölten to Mariazell, 78 kilometers, 2.5 hours. Traversing one of the wildest regions of the Austrian Alps, this narrow-gauge service is officially split into two sections: valley and mountains. The former stretches from St. Pölten to Frankenfels, a land of pretty grazing meadows and gentle pathways. Tickets allow you to hop on and off, while the latter climbs up through the ruggedly handsome Erlof Gorge and the peaks of Altscher Tomor Nature Park. Allow a full day, at least. Top tip: for widescreen views, grab a first-class panorama carriage, May to October on weekend and holiday services, while Heritage Rail fans love the 100-year-old Bar train that runs from June to late September. 5. Inlandsbanan, Sweden. The journey: Kristinehamn to Gällivare, 1,288 kilometers from 2 days. The Inlandsbanan is slow travel at its best, heading up past the Arctic Circle and into Swedish Lapland. In fact, its drivers love an excuse to stretch their legs, and scheduled stops to take a dip in Lake Siljan or visit Sami villages, and their reindeer herds along the way are worth it. Before you know it, you're cooing over moose and foraging for berries under midnight sun, June to early July. All thoughts of the timetable long forgotten. Top tip: at each stop, you can order fresh dishes from local restaurants, such as smoked Arctic char and lingonberry crumble. 4. Trinino Verde, Sardinia, Italy. The journey: Palau to Tempio, 59 kilometers. Sindia to Bosa, 33 kilometers. Mandas to Laconi, 37 kilometers. Mandas to Sadali, 58 kilometers. Arbata to Gerlach, 62 kilometers. Times vary. The best way to get under the skin of Sardinia is by catching the Trinino Verde, or green train, for a picturesque poodle around the island. The Mandas-Laconi line weaves through wild woodlands, the Palo Tempio track culminates in a town famed for its cork groves, and Sindia Bosa forges from the island's untamed interior out to its western coast. Top tip: don't be surprised if the conductor hops out to shoo sheep off the line, or to stop traffic at level crossings. Slow travel at its purest. 3. Lione Des Cevennes, France. The journey: Clermont-Ferrand to Nimes, 304 kilometers, 6.5 hours. We say every twist and turn of this train line is an engineering marvel. It ticks off a mighty 106 tunnels and over 1,000 bridges, as well as the seriously lofty 46-meter-high Chemboragode Viaduct. With 29 long-legged arches arranged in a semicircular loop, Chemboragande is a scene stealer, although the track reaches its pinnacle on the summit of La Bastide, 1,023 meters. There are gentler pleasures still to be found in the rolling vineyards of the Auvergne, the chestnut forests of Cevennes National Park, and the track's picturesque dalliance with the river Allier. Top tip: visit in springtime to see the area's wildflowers in bloom. 2. Derry Londonderry to Coleraine, Northern Ireland. The journey: Derry Londonderry to Coleraine, 55 kilometers, 38 minutes. We say this route doesn't need 5-star cabins or steam locomotives for wow factor. It's all about the scenery. Explore a banquet of windswept beaches, razor-edged cliffs, and wild views on the no-frills TransLink service. Sit on the left-hand side, if traveling eastwards, and settle in for a ride that Sir Michael Palin hailed in his Great Railway Journeys series as one of the most beautiful rail journeys in the world, as you hop-skip peregrine falcon habitats and thread the longest railway tunnels in Ireland. Top tip: stop for a yomp on the wide, wild sands of Benone Beach. 1. Linha de Douro, Portugal. The journey: Porto to Pocinho, 160 kilometers, 3.5 hours. We say, don't take a day cruise from Porto. Hop on the Linha de Douro instead. Most boat trips only venture as far as the port-producing village of Pinhao, but this train line plows further into the heartlands, past great walls of rock and rambling quintas, wine estates. Better yet, the track swaps between shores, so there's no such thing as a duff seat. Pinhao Station must be one of Europe's prettiest terminals, trimmed with intricate azulejo tilework, but look out too for the towering gorge around Regua and the ancient rock art of the Coa Valley at Pocinho.